Good evening, everybody. Let's wait a few minutes for a couple people to jump on the line. We are talking health tonight. We are here on a Thursday afternoon to interrupt your feed with a little faith over fear and some empowering information that you have control over when it comes to your health. So we're going to talk about gut rebuilding today. We're going to talk about nutrition today, go over some basics so you fully understand how to fuel your body for health. Like this video, send me a comment to let you know that you are here. Most of my patients know that I really love to public speak. I love to do group reports. I love to be in front of people because you get life change when you are present. You get a heart change when you are present with people. So this virtual workshop, it's a little bit more difficult to interact with you guys. So we're going to do the best that we can, but the best way to help me help you is by interacting, liking the video, sending me a comment that you are here. Because we're just going to jump through the information. If you have a question, go ahead and throw it in the comments. If you have a question, say hi, like, and share this video so we can help change not just the city of Charlotte, where my practice is based, but really the entire healthcare system. The goal of being a part of something greater is to inspire greater change for people and greater health change. There is no better time for me to be a max living doctor. There's no better time to speak about health because what this country lacks so much so is health. So we are going to specifically dive into one of the core pillars or one of the 5 essentials of health tonight. You cannot be healthy unless you eat properly and fuel your body properly and eat nutritiously. So we are going to dive into that today. Let's get started. I always like to give a little bit of a check to see where you're at when we start to talk about nutrition. When it comes to your metabolism and how your body is working, I want to go over a couple nutrition self-checks for you. Here we go. All right, I've got a couple questions for you. Your nutrition is out of balance if you are always hungry, you're feeling cranky, tired, irritable, you have foggy thoughts when you don't eat, you have a chronic pain complaint, you're struggling to lose weight, you're also struggling to hold your adjustments, you have hormonal imbalance, you snack regularly, you have a metabolism issue from improper or not good nutrition. Those are all warning signs and signals that your body's not functioning well or functioning properly. And one of the pillars to look at is what you're eating and what you're putting in your body and how it's driving your metabolism. So your metabolism is how your body works, is how it digests food and processes nutrition and puts those pieces where it needs to go. If you are feeling any of these signs and symptoms, it shows you that you have an issue with your metabolism, that likely you're more of a sugar burner than you are a fat burner, which is something that we're going to cover tonight. And it's an issue. A healthy metabolism is a fat burning metabolism. So because fat burns more slowly and steadily, fat burners can easily go to 4 to 6 hours between meals. You don't suffer from sugar or carbohydrate cravings. You lose fat easily and you experience more steady energy. That is a healthy metabolism. A healthy metabolism is one that burns fat. Think about it. You have tons of fat restores in your body. Your body should be able to easily reach into those. If you, between meals, have really bad blood sugar levels, you have really bad cravings, you have really bad hormonal changes, you have really bad crankiness, you get hangry all the time, it shows you that your body is not doing the best job, or it's not easily reaching into your fat stores and your metabolism is off. You're likely a sugar burner, which is essentially the problem. Here's what we're going to tackle tonight. 4 ways to revolutionize your diet. We're going to go over a lot of common nutrition myths. And we're going to go over how to read labels, which is extremely important. It's extremely important to understand your food. It's extremely important to understand your labels. So we're going to tackle all of that tonight because that is the basics of nutrition, is understanding a food label, understanding your food. So a lot of basics tonight, and then ultimately we're going to end with a gut rebuilding protocol for a lot of you on the line that have digestive issues, cramps, bloating, gas, Crohn's disease, IBS. We're going to go over a good jumpstart protocol, but all of these principles still reign true if you have a digestive system disorder. If your gut and your digestive system is not functioning well, these points are specifically for you. Because there's a lot of inflammation at the root of all of those processes that comes from bad and balanced nutrition. So every single change that we're going to talk about making tonight, I want you to make those, and then we're going to level up at the end and go over more intentional protocol supplement-wise for those of you on the line that really suffer with digestive issues. And I think that one of the main principles to understand when it comes to nutrition and when it comes to your health is your perspective and your mindset. With chiropractic and being a max living doctor, I acknowledge a few true principles when it comes to health. And when you understand a principle, it makes making decisions a lot easier because we don't understand the principles of health as a country. We are in a complete health crisis. When you start to understand principles and values of what health is and where it comes from, and you base your decisions off of those principles, you're going to get great health by side effect. So 2 major principles that I want to cover today is the chiropractic principle number 1. There are 33 of these, and I wish and I pray that one day that I do a workshop solely on just the 33 chiropractic principles because it's about life, health, and healing. And when you focus more on health, you get more health. When you focus more on disease process, you get more disease process. So I want to switch your perspective and teach you a little bit about where my mindset and my perspective is when it comes to health, because that makes all the difference. The first principle of chiropractic is called the major premise. It states that there's a universal intelligence in all matter, continually giving to it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it into existence. That's acknowledging that there is an intelligence that flows through the universe. There's an intelligence that flows through your body. And if you are a chiropractic patient, you know that that intelligence flows over the central nervous system. Think about this. You have a brain that constantly controls and coordinates every single function of your body, the hundreds of thousands of trillions of processes going on in your body. In every single cell, your brain knows exactly what's going on at every single second, and it controls and it coordinates that. You were designed with intelligence. There's gravity. The Earth spins on its axis. There's trees that die and then trees that come back up again. Like, we acknowledge that there's an intelligence here that's running things. If you are in a chiropractic office, you should know the term innate intelligence. That's the intelligence that directs and coordinates your cells and your tissues, and it's housed in your brain by your function in your brain. It runs and controls everything. So we acknowledge that there's an intelligence, and when you work with that intelligence, you get better, faster results when it comes to health. Number 2, it's chiropractic principle all the way to chiropractic principle 30, the causes of disease. Listen up. Interference with the transmission of innate forces causes incoordination or disease. Disease is a lack of health. You are born with everything that you need to be healthy. You are born with every process that you need to repair your cells and tissues. When you have an interference in the system and the intelligence working properly, that's when you get disease. Disease is a lack of health to begin with. And lack of health comes with incongruency in living with the health principles that I teach in my practice in Charlotte. And that is nutrition, what we're going to cover tonight. That is making sure you're exercising, making sure you're not putting toxins in your body, making sure you're thinking positive, healthy thoughts, and making sure that you have no interference or no subluxation or misalignment in your central nervous system. So I really want you to think about that. That disease process is a lack of health, and there's an interference with a normal, healthy process working properly in the body. It's not a lack of medication on why you have a digestive issue. It's not a lack of Nexium why you have reflux. It's not a lack of ibuprofen why you have pain. There's an interference in one system of the body or multiple systems in the body working properly, or the body executing its natural healthy function. Okay, number one thing we need to bust. We need to talk about this because I have patients still coming into this day into the practice claiming that because their parents had certain genes or certain gene type, or they got heart disease or they had cancer, that they will have it too. That is not the case. Is there some influence of genetics on your health? Yes, but your lifestyle is what ultimately determines whether or not, even if you have a predisposition in your genetic code to heart disease or cancer, it's your lifestyle that ultimately can turn that gene on or turn that gene off or allow that gene to manifest itself. So your genes may be the gun, but what pulls the trigger on bad genes is going to be your lifestyle. What pulls the trigger is your lifestyle, which is why it's so important. So this is a myth. If I have bad genes, so if my parents were sick, then I will suffer the same fate. That's very frustrating for me as a doctor to hear, just because it's completely untrue. When you look at the research, it is not genetics that cause disease. It's lifestyle. It's the choices that we make every single day. The researchers, if you read this paragraph right here, I'm going to just highlight the main point. The researchers found no interaction between genetic risk profiles and lifestyle, the role of genes, at least based upon our current knowledge of genetic risk. So what that means is the fault does not appear to lie in our genes, but in our choices. Genetics or lifestyle. What is the cause of disease? It's lifestyle time and time again, but it's very easy for a doctor or somebody else to tell you, oh, you're just going to get disease process because your genes, because there's nothing that you can do about it. Well, that's a lie. There's plenty that you can do about it. Okay, another research. This year, more than 1 million Americans and more than 10 million people worldwide are expected to be diagnosed with cancer, a disease commonly believed to be preventable. Only 5 to 10% of cancer cases can be attributed to genetic defects, whereas the remaining 90 to 95% have their roots in the environment and lifestyle. This is from pharmaceutical research. So if 90 to 95% of cancers are environmental and lifestyle based, where should our treatment protocols be? They should be changing lifestyle. They should be changing people's choices and habits, not medicating them. This is not a genetic issue. It is a lifestyle issue at its core, which means it can only be fixed by lifestyle changes. All right, number 2 that we have to talk about. Counting calories is a great way, an effective way to have healthy nutrition. That's also a lie. I know you've been taught for a really long time, calories in and calories out. That is a lie. That is a very simplistic way to look at the body. This is not about calories. What we're going to talk about today is principles of nutrition and healthy eating. We're not going to talk about a diet or a restriction. I don't believe that there's one diet that fits every single person for every single season of your life. We're going to talk about principles that should reign true for every single person. And if you align yourself with these nutrition principles, you're going to get good health, you're going to eat better, and you're going to get better health overall and start to reverse disease process. So please stop counting calories. It doesn't matter how many calories are in your foods. That doesn't lead to better nutrition. That's a very old way of looking at nutrition. If your doctors are still talking to you about limiting your caloric intake, they haven't picked up a nutrition book in probably the last 5 to 10 years. Okay. The 3 major dangers that I see in my patient's health is number 1, you're eating too much sugar. Number 2, you have too many toxins. And number 3, you're not eating enough good fats to keep your body and your metabolism working where it needs to. Your body needs to burn fat for energy and needs to be able to reach into fat storage very easily in order to be healthy. When you have too much sugar and too many toxins, it flips that metabolism on its head and you become a sugar burner, which gives your body the inability to burn fat. So we're going to go through action steps from now on. The 4 steps, if you are taking notes, we're going to clean up your sources of carbohydrates, which is your sources of sugar. Carbohydrate is sugar. We're going to fix the fats that you eat. We're going to help or perfect the proteins that you're intaking, and then we're going to get rid of the additives and toxins that interfere with your body's normal metabolisms working like they should. Unfortunately, as Americans, we eat over 152 pounds of sugar in 1 year. Here is the reality. This is the largest toxin that you will see when it comes to your health, when it comes to packaged foods. It is sugar. You eat too much sugar. I already know it because the stats say you eat 152 pounds of sugar in 1 year. You can only process in your bloodstream, you can only have 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar at a time. When you eat too much sugar, the following things happen in your body. Number 1, inflammation goes up because sugar and carbohydrates is an ultimately inflammatory source. So when you have too much sugar, and I'm just not talking about white sugar, I mean breads, pastas, lots of carbohydrate in your diet, like you're still following the food pyramid, which has you eating 8 to 10 servings of grains or sugars every single day. What you're doing is driving up inflammation. You're destroying a normal, natural metabolism. You're throwing off your hormones because you're throwing off your insulin levels. And you're also bringing up the acidity in your body. And all of those things are a great environment for disease processes to thrive. So disease only grows, germs, bad germs and viruses and bad bacteria only take over if the environment suits them. So as you eat more sugar, you're going to increase your inflammation, you're going to increase the acidity in your body, and you're also going to destroy your metabolism in the process. You're going to make yourself a sugar burner instead of a fat burner, which means you need to constantly be dripping in sugar in order to survive the days. That's a very unhealthy metabolism. And what happens is when you constantly feed yourself sugar at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's the basis of your diet, what happens is insulin, your hormone that puts sugar in your tiny, tiny cells, insulin gets released and you have large up and down spikes of insulin, which then, insulin is a hormone, it will knock out and destroy the rest of your hormones, especially females. So you can get adrenal issues from having too much sugar. You can get female hormone issues from eating too much sugar. The number one thing that you can do in your health is decrease the amount of sugar and carbohydrates that you eat because you are overeating them, because most of the nutrition that's delivered to an American household is still based on the old food pyramid. That big triangle where at the bottom, your basis of your diet should have been grains. That's completely wrong. The basis of your diet shouldn't be sugar and grains. That's really unhealthy and it destroys your metabolism. Okay, we just touched on this a little bit, but inflammation is ultimately caused by sugar. So anytime that you have lots of pain, the first thing that you can do besides get adjusted to release healing in the body and get your body's processes working right is you can stop eating sugar. Don't eat sugar that day. Decrease your carbohydrate intake. Start eating more fats. The second thing that causes inflammation and pain in the body, when you have lots of inflammation, that's a great environment for disease process to thrive, whether that's heart disease, whether that's cancer, whether that's a virus, a bad virus, whether that's a bad bacteria. They love disease process. Heart disease loves inflammation. Disease process festers in a high inflammatory environment. The second thing that causes inflammation that I see with my patients is you're eating damaged fats and you're eating a lot of poisons or toxins, which get stuck in the body and cause inflammation. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, but we're going to start real basic here. So every single food, the majority of a food, so you've got a piece of bread or you've got a cracker or you've got a piece of meat, you've got a nut or a seed, the majority of that food, the content is going to be either carbohydrates, fat, or protein. All foods break down into those three molecules. Now, carbohydrates are sugars. Carbohydrates are strings of glucose together. which means that when you eat a food like bread, pasta, crackers that has a high carbohydrate count, you are eating mostly sugar in that meal. Vegetables are also mostly carbohydrates. If you flip over the bag of broccoli that you got, or you flip over the bread that you have, it will list a little bit of protein and a little bit of fat, but the majority of that food is going to be a carbohydrate. If you flip over your almonds, there's going to be a little bit of carbohydrate in there and mostly fat. So all of your foods that you get break down into one of these three categories for the majority of that food. So you've got carbohydrates are your vegetables. They're also your fruits. They're your breads, pastas, crackers, flours, even if it's like a whole grain flour, even if it's a whole grain flour, like a whole wheat or a brown rice, that's still a carbohydrate. That's still a sugar. And then fat would be your oil. So your avocado oil, coconut oil, nuts, seeds and legumes have a lot of fat content as well. And then you've got proteins. There's more protein in beans, legumes, and lentils. They're kind of split half and half, fat and protein. And then you have your like meats are considered mostly protein, even though they have some fat in them as well. But you have to think of like overall, more of what you're eating. I care less about the calories and I care more about the content and the nutrition and the ingredients in your food. But you need to know the basics. You need to learn how to walk before you run. Okay. Great. It is a myth that you need 5 to 8 servings of grain every day for a healthy diet. That is the surefire way to get diabetes. If you eat 5 to 8 servings of grains every single day and you base your diet in grains, you're going to get diabetes. You're going to get inflammation, which ultimately leads to heart disease, cancer, disease process. You don't want that. Your body does not need all that sugar to work properly. All right, we're going to hit some toxins now. The one thing I would say that is worse than sugar is a sugar substitute. Many of you grew up in an age where Splenda was like God's gift to earth. We cooked with it. We put it in our coffee. It's still at every single restaurant. Unless you go to a healthy organic restaurant, they will not have Splenda. Sitting in the little tube. You've got your creamers for your coffee and you've got Splenda, you've got white sugar, you might have some like brown sugar in there. Splenda is the worst ingredient that you can possibly consume in your diet. And I will tell you why. It's a toxin. Your body doesn't know what it is, and it's linked to cancer. So we just talked about cancer being 90 to 95% environment and lifestyle related. When you eat a lot of Splenda, it gives you more risk for cancer and toxicity. The reason why I know this is because they did a study with rats and they ate a lot of Splenda and they had tumors that started to develop and they got worse as the Splenda consumption went up. And you might say, well, you might have to consume a lot of Splenda for that. I don't think a little bit of cancer is okay. This is so poisonous, I would say never, ever eat it. This is like on a never list. This is a gut irritant. A lot of the toxins that we're going to talk about, your body doesn't know what it is because it's a man-made chemical. And what it does is irritate your digestive system. So never eat anything with Splenda in it. Never put it in your coffee. Instead of Splenda, what I want you to start using is stevia. It's a natural substitute for sugar. It does have a very sweet taste, but it doesn't raise your blood sugar. So you can remove many and most carbohydrates from your diet and still have cookies and still have like fun things and desserts, but you're just gonna make your desserts with stevia instead of sugar. And remember, this is all a learning curve. You're talking about reformatting and redoing lifestyle that you've had since you were a child, and likely because of the lifestyle that your parents had. So I hear a lot of patients come in and they say, I don't really eat like my parents. You probably do. Your nutrition and your lifestyle, a lot of it is really passed down by lifestyle habits from your parents. This is going to be a learning curve for you. You're going to learn how to cook with ingredients that you typically don't cook with, that are not the default ingredients. You're not going to shop for white flour anymore and make cookies with white sugar and white flour. You're going to start to make them in a nutritious way so it fuels your body for health rather than disease process. Every single choice that you make in your life is either pushing you towards health, life, and vitality, or it's pushing you towards disease process, and you control that outcome. So if you want to live a healthy life, you're going to make better choices. You're going to buy better ingredients. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Your grocery bill might go up, but hey, medications are really expensive too. End life care for cancer, very expensive too. So you either pay now and pay real prices for real food, or you're going to pay in medication and sickness and disease process later. The choice is yours. The next myth, fat makes you fat. This is why you still see a craze of low fat on all your cartons. So when you walk through the processed food aisles, they have in big bold letters like low fat, half calories. That is driving you toward disease process. If it says low fat and it says low calories, it's a chemical laden product that's going to give you and push you towards cancer and disease process. Like, the inability to burn fat makes you fat. You don't get that by consuming fat in your foods. You get that by consuming too much sugar. You consume so much sugar that your body now cannot burn fat. That is what will make you fat. Okay, let's go into some good action steps. Bad fats. These are fats that you should never eat. If you pick up something in the grocery store that has these fats on them, put it back and find something else. There's always something better on a shelf. You are never going to eat something because this is toxic and it's poison to your body. So I know I want to draw a clear line in the sand, because there's a lot of people that say, I eat healthy, Dr. Christine. I don't want to take medications, Dr. Christine. But when the going gets tough, they jump back on their medication, or they say, well, I just had a few of this. I just had a few boxes of cookies this week with hydrogenated fats in them. There's no room for this stuff in your diet. And I guarantee you can find a cookie on a shelf that's just as good, if not better, and better for you, that doesn't have these ingredients with it. Don't sacrifice your health for like temporary sweetness in your mouth. Children do that. And we're all adults on this line. Children make choices based on their feelings and what they want in the moment. This is why you don't let kids, rule the household, because they don't understand consequences yet. That's something that accrues with knowledge and wisdom and life. But everybody's an adult on this line. You need to start making choices that are better for you, and the consequences of. So and you need to play in your health the long-term game, not the short-term game, if you want really, really good health. And I think we're all adults here. We can talk about it. We're no longer children. Children are the ones that, want candy for breakfast, and they want to have Fruit Loops, and they walk past an ice cream store and want to get an ice cream too, because they don't understand consequences yet. You understand consequences, and you now understand what better health is, and better health is worth it. And you can always find something that's just as tasty, but fuels you for health. So you are never going to have any hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. This also gives you risk for heavy metal poisoning, because what the food manufacturers do is they take a fat and they process it over a heavy metal, like a lead-based metal, and make this fat that's basically close to motor oil. And it lasts really long on the shelves, so they get really, really longevity of their products because they never go rancid or bad, because they're fake, they're not real. Your body doesn't know what to do with that. So what happens when you eat lots of hydrogenated foods and partially hydrogenated foods is they get stuck in your intestinal system and they breed, again, toxic fats, breed inflammation, which is a perfect environment for disease process to grow in the digestive system or in the heart or in your bowels, really anywhere in your body. So this is one you're going to remove. Trans fats. No trans fats, no margarine, no synthetic butter. That stuff will kill you. Rancid vegetable oils, no corn oil, no canola oil, or those labeled simply vegetable oil. This stuff is found everywhere in like pre-boxed cookie mix and cake mix. That stuff will kill you. It sits in your body, it's rancid, dries up inflammation, and gives you disease process in the digestive system. So good fats are just natural fats. Nothing's been done to alter them. Extra virgin olive oil, avocados, avocado oil, coconut oil, raw seeds, raw nuts, real butter, raw cheese, yogurt, grass-fed meats are excellent sources of fat. Eggs, whole milks. Stop removing the yolks from your eggs. That is the most nutrition part of the egg. Quit worrying about your cholesterol. We will talk about that later with the intake of your food. That's the worst thing that you can do. All right, and fatty fish, also amazing sources of fats. The reason why raw is on there is because when you high heat something, it turns it rancid or it starts to burn it. So if you have lots of roasted nuts in your diet, like you do a lot of prepackaged trail mix, you may think that you are on the right track eating like nuts and dried fruits. But if you turn over that package, number one, the first ingredient is likely sugar because everything is sweetened and coated in sugar. And number two, you're going to have roasted peanuts or roasted almonds. When you roast something and overheat something, it burns the fat and it turns it rancid and toxic. So you need to trade. Trail mix is very, very good. Nuts and seeds are awesome for you. They have a lot of micronutrients that come with them too, like zinc and a lot of just really, really great nutrition. But you don't want that nutrition to be destroyed by heat. What's the point of eating something that's healthy for you if it's destroyed in the process? So you want to make sure that you switch your fats to raw fats. Another myth, fat and meats cause heart disease, cancer, osteoporosis, and kidney disease. Meats have gotten a very, very bad rap because of a couple studies that were done, very, very large studies on meat in relation to cancer and the following disease processes. There is some truth to that study. However, the meat that they studied was conventional meat. When you buy meat straight off the shelves, Purdue chicken, your regular steak that you buy, your regular ground beef, whatever's the cheapest, that's not real meat. It's full of hormones, terrible additives that have made it look like really, really good meat. The food industry has a great way of injecting chemicals to make your vegetables look delicious and ripe and make your meats look delicious and appetizing like a regular meat. Those studies that contributed meat or associated meat with cancer and heart disease and kidney disease, that was using conventional, like toxic meat, which is a completely different composition than like an organic grass-fed meat. So when we talk about focusing your income and your money on your food budget, the number one thing that you do is you focus your dollars. I would rather you focus your dollars on grass-fed, pasture-raised, organic meats than buying organic vegetables. Does that make sense? So if you're going to buy anything organic and you're starting to switch your food budget over and you're budgeting and you want to know, okay, so where do I focus my dollars? You need to focus them on getting healthy meat. That's lowering your carbohydrate intake, number one change. And number two, focus your dollars on organic meat. It is worth it. I know that they look the same in the grocery store, but they are not the same. When you look at the nutritional content and when it's dissected out, there's half the amount of nutrition in a conventional raised meat. And then you're, instead of getting the other half of your nutrition, you're getting cancer-filled pesticides, genetically modified ingredients that your body doesn't know how to process, hormones, and tons of antibiotics that destroy your gut. So the problem when you have a digestive issue is that your digestive system is a wreck because you've wiped it clean, maybe from multiple rounds of antibiotics because you were sick as a child. When you're an adult, things that you've done as a kid, your health as an adult is related to the choices that you made 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago. So things that, you went through multiple rounds of antibiotics as a young child for ear infections or for some other reason, that destroys your digestive system, and then it looks like a digestive issue by the time you're a teen, a 20, a 30-year-old. So the choices that you are making, they're bleeding into the rest of your life. Or if you've eaten a lot of conventional meat, you've overpumped your system with antibiotics and you've destroyed your microbiome or your bacteria in your gut that protect your gut, which will give you a digestive system issue. One way to save money is at the bottom in order to budget well. It's called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The Clean 15 is the Environmental Working Group, or EWG. I'm going to type it in the comments. List. It comes out every single year on the least pesticide-filled fruits and vegetables. So the Clean 15, you can buy conventional, which is usually a little bit cheaper. I don't. I buy all my vegetables organic because I would not like to spend my money on cancer later. I'd rather be on, vacation and have a great retirement than be sick and suffering at the end of my life, which means that I'm front-loading my cost. Clean 15, you can buy conventional. A quick Google search will give you this year's updated list of Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. Dirty Dozen are the dirtiest foods or the foods with the highest pesticide count. So you want to always buy them organic. So Dirty Dozen, always buy organic. When you have a digestive system issue, you have a problem processing food. And likely it's part toxicity issue and you're sensitive to these chemicals. And you should be sensitive to these chemicals. My body should tell me that there's a problem when I'm eating something that causes cancer or can lead to a brain disorder or a neurological disorder. If I ingest a poison, my body should not like it and want to get rid of it. So having a digestive system issue is really your body responding to what you've done in your life, lifestyle-wise. Either abuse of your central nervous system, your brain, your spinal cord, or abuse in terms of the foods that you're eating in your body. Okay, you are going to change your animal products first. So you want to focus your intention, your money, your dollars on grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, and I'm gonna put in pasture-raised. The other part is that we get very, very confused with labels. There's some great marketing out there that makes things look healthy, which are not healthy. So you want to make sure you always do wild caught fish. It should say it on the label. And if you're at a restaurant, you should ask, where's this fish from? Is it wild caught? If the answer is no, it's farm raised, do not eat it. Do not eat it. It's not real food. It's that poor fish is like sick, toxic, gross. When you eat sick animals, you become sick because that food becomes your cells. So free range or pasture raised chickens, pasture raised eggs would be the gold standard. So don't fall for the marketing technique. And then natural source dairy. Dairy's the industry that uses the most antibiotics and chemicals in their industry. So when you have a gut problem, you have a digestive system problem, you have a disease process, you need to make sure you're using natural dairy so you're not upping your the poison and toxicity count in your body, because that's providing an environment for disease process to thrive instead of health. Okay, so you are avoiding conventionally raised beef, deli ham, and other processed meats. That is too much processing. It's full of chemicals. It's not real meat. Hot dogs, conventional sausage, conventionally made bacon, conventionally made salami. And then you're going to have a lot of grass-fed beef, lamb, bison, venison, elk, that's all great meats. Grass is what beef and lambs are supposed to eat. So when the food that you feeds on their own proper diet, they're healthier. Just like you're healthier when you feed on real food. The food that you eat, if it feeds on real food, it's therefore healthier. That makes sense. You don't want to eat a sick meat. All right. This has come up a lot in my practice lately, that cholesterol causes heart disease. And I like to use this analogy. When there's a fire, firefighters come to fight the fire. If you knew nothing about the situation and you were to take like a bird's eye view, you would look at all the fires that are happening around the globe, and you would likely see firefighters at the scene of every single fire because they're fighting the fire. That is cholesterol in your body. It's associated with being around disease process, but it does not cause the disease process. Cholesterol is the healing substance in your body. Your body needs it to work properly. When there's lots of inflammation going on in the body will overmake cholesterol because it's a healing substance. Your body will line walls of arteries with it. It'll use it in the healing process because the body is so inflamed, it's brittle. Like if you've ever rolled your ankle or had an injury, that area is really brittle. It's inflamed. It hurts. Pretty much your body uses cholesterol as like a source of duct tape. It just reinforces brittle walls with cholesterol to keep the body healthy. So the real issue with heart disease and high cholesterol situations is that it's telling you, high cholesterol levels are telling you that your body is systemically inflamed. It's something to pay attention to, but high cholesterol levels, more people die of heart attacks and heart disease with low cholesterol levels when you look at the stats, because these are independent of each other. More people die of heart disease and heart attacks with low cholesterol levels. And if your doctor sees that you have high cholesterol and he's telling you or she's telling you to lower your cholesterol, again, they have not picked up a book or looked at a research study in at least 10 years. And that's not okay. They're not telling you updated information. Your medical doctor has zero training, zero hours in nutrition, zero. So you can't expect your medical doctor to give you accurate nutrition information, which is the truth. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease. It's just found at the scene of the crime because it's a healing substance in the body. When you have high cholesterol levels, you probably have high inflammation, and your body is using that cholesterol to heal. So pretty much when you take a statin drug or you take a cholesterol lowering drug, what you're doing is you've got firefighters at the scene and you're plucking them from the fire. So remember, the body has an intelligence. It's always working for good. It's always working to heal you. It's always doing the right thing at the right time. There's no man-made solution to a disease process problem that's natural in the body. It's the body's response. That disease process at high cholesterol level is the body responding and adapting to the lifestyle that you've put it under, which is why we need to rewind the tape and go back and start to fix your lifestyle. As your body heals and functions better with a better lifestyle, the cause of why cholesterol has to be high in the body to keep you healthy is removed. Likely cholesterol levels will come down. Statin drugs just make a lot of money. This leads into the next point. I know that we're led to believe that the FDA and the USDA protect the general public, but things that are FDA approved get yanked off the market all the time because they kill people. All medications have to be FDA approved, but we see medications and side effects and lawsuits go off all the time because of side effects and medications killing people that the FDA has approved. The reality is you are responsible for your health. The government is not responsible for your health. And you need to do the research yourself. And you need to go to a person that doesn't have any conflicts of interest when it comes to your health. And I want you to look at this slide, because this was what the FDA and pharmaceutical companies approved to be healthy less than 100 years ago. So if you go through and you look at these labels, they used to prescribe cocaine, toothache drops. Science was settled on that. There's a common misconception in most people's thinking. The truth is, like, our healthcare system is broken, and there are hidden agendas associated with the public. And when you go back and you look at the history of healthcare and the history of medicine, like at one point in time, they were spraying children with DDT, which is a chemical. It's a pesticide to keep bugs off, so kind of like a bug spray. They were spraying kids just straight with DDT. In the 60s, it was proven that DDT causes cancer and terrible neurologic disorders, and it destroys the environment. The book Silent Spring was written about that, and immediately it was yanked off the public. So just a few years ago, they were spraying children with something that causes cancer and neurologic disorders, claiming that it was healthy. So the reality is, like, you have to do your own research. You have to look at labels, and you have to learn about this stuff, because there's no one out there protecting you but you. A few years ago, doctors all smoked and said it has nothing to do with cancer. And we all know that that is ridiculous right now. But if you look at the labels of like Camel and Marlboro, their like best marketing was that this is doctor approved and doctor smokes these cigarettes. That's ridiculous. So the science being settled, you better do your own research. And I want you to look at the bottom right-hand corner. This is Bayer, who makes aspirin, who is still a pharmaceutical company. Yeah, well, at one time they sold heroin to people. Those are the same companies that still make your pharmaceutical drugs. So it's your choice. The body doesn't have a disease process from lack of medication. The body grows disease process because of lack of a good, healthy lifestyle, or I like to call it the 5 essentials of health in my practice. Disease cannot thrive in a healthy body. A healthy body is created by your choices. Okay, I hear a lot about this too, that eating healthy is boring, it's tasteless, it's too hard to do, you're gonna have me eating spinach all day long. It's not. You're gonna eat great foods. You're gonna eat tons of food. You're gonna eat really healthy food. You're gonna have your cookies and you're gonna have your cakes. That is a fear and that is an excuse. And the reality is, as you start to eat healthy, what happens is your taste buds start to change. So most likely you're over-consumed sugar for so long that you actually become numb to it. And things don't taste sweet anymore. But as you remove sugar from your diet, your taste buds change and become more sensitive to sugar. So then things that you would never consider sweet before, like vegetables, actually taste sweet. Like zucchini actually tastes sweet because you can taste the flavor of foods. When foods have been over-chemicalized, over-processed, and too much sugar has been added in as ingredients, you lose your sense of taste. You lose your taste buds, and you become addicted to those foods, so you need more of them to fuel this addiction that you have. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine in your brain. So that is a myth, and I need you to stop telling yourself that like eating healthy is boring, it's tasteless, and it's too hard, because whatever you tell yourself is the truth. So if you continue to tell yourself that, yeah, it is true to you. But if you rewire that, you can completely change your focus, and you can completely change your life and your health. And you need to know what you value in your life. There's over 90% of diseases Americans face are caused by bad lifestyle habits. And the reality is, you either value your health or you don't. Like, where is your health on the scale? Is your health worth you not meal prepping and picking up fast food? Is your health, like, you have to decide what's more important to you. If convenience is more important to you than good health, then at least be honest about it. And set a good example and good expectations for yourself. And really, it's your actions that speak way louder than your words. If you need to know if you eat properly, write down what you ate in the last 48 hours and what was in that food. You may think that, like, yep, I'm eating great. And then you realize that you're having 6-7 servings of grains every single day, minimal fat, and you ate processed meats 3 times during that 48-hour period. You got to check yourself in what you're doing. Okay. Let's go to some action steps. This is very easy for you to follow if you're a current Max Living patient. I don't like to call these diet plans. I really don't. But you need some kind of plan. The core plan is for, like, healthy eating. It's for disease prevention. This is where you should live most of your life, is in the core plan. What it does is it restricts it takes away simple carbohydrates, and you only eat life-giving foods. It's for health maintenance, and it's nutrition for all healthy families and kids. It's a phenomenal way to follow for nutrition. It's on page 161 in the Align Your Health book. If you have a hormone problem, if you have a digestive system problem, if you have inflammation and disease process, you need to almost eliminate. I wouldn't say that this is a super low carbohydrate diet, because it's not. You're going to eat lots of vegetables, which are carbohydrate based. You're going to have fruits, but you're going to eat very nutritiously dense foods that promote healing in the body and remove sources of inflammation. That is the advanced plan, and I'm going to break those down for you. So we are going to start here in rebuilding your gut. It's 3 basic changes. So you're going to start with your sugar and your carbohydrates. You're going to eliminate grains, sugars, and fruits, except berries, grapefruit, and Granny Smith apples. Mangoes are not inherently bad for you. Or what are some other fruits that are not in the advanced plan? Bananas, not inherently bad for you, but they do have a lot higher sugar content. So what we want to do is we want to focus our intentions on the most nutrient-dense, low-sugar foods for a portion of time as you rebuild your health and your digestive system, because grains are inflammatory. So pastas, brown rice, quinoa, they all come with a layer around the grain that's very irritating to the gut and difficult to break down. So when you are having a digestive system issue, less grains, no grains at all if you have a digestive system issue, and you're going to lower your sugar intake. So even healthy grains, well, I would say, quote unquote, healthy, even like a quinoa, that's still going to rapidly break down into sugar. So for the time being, while you're rebuilding your health, you want to eliminate any source of inflammation, and that includes something like quinoa and brown rice. You will be able to incorporate that stuff slowly back into your diet. But remember, we want an intense healing focus. We want to remove the causes of inflammation and a bad environment where disease process grows. This is not like a 50-50. Like everything in moderation, not a good nutrition perspective. It's terrible, actually. Like a little bit of cancer or cancer in moderation, no. Like this is not everything in moderation is a terrible way to do nutrition. I don't want a moderate level of neurological pesticides and chemicals in my diet. I don't want a moderate level of cancer-causing foods in my diet. Everything in moderation, do away with that. All right, you're going to replace your conventional protein sources with natural protein sources. So grass-fed beef, you can still get this at your regular grocery stores too. You just got to dig a little bit deeper and you got to look at labels a little bit more. It will say grass-fed. It will say grass-fed and organic. That would be your top 2 that you are looking for. I get some of my meat at Target, and we talk about this a lot. You can hit a really, really great sale for your meat. And remember, if it's got more nutrition content too, likely you'll eat less of it, because you're getting the nutrients that you need from less food. Number 3, you're going to remove bad fats, which we already talked about that, and replace them with healthy, good fat. So raw nuts, seeds, avocado oil, avocados. Do lots of salads. Do lots of raw vegetables tossed in olive oil with lots of spices. Scoops of coconut oil. There's a ton of recipes in the Align Your Health book that use a base of fat to give you that healing diet and the sources that you need to heal inflammation. Here are your foods to avoid. So processed carbohydrates, sugars, food with sugar substitutes like Splenda, foods containing trans fats, foods containing fats that turn rancid. So that would be any partially hydrogenated fat that we just talked about, any type of highly processed food. So really anything in the box. There should be less label reading because really when you pick up an apple, you know it's an apple. When you pick up grass-fed beef, you know it's beef. When you pick up an almond, you know it's an almond. There's not multiple ingredients in those. It's a simplistic ingredient. Those are the foods that you should be eating. Less label reading because you really shouldn't be eating a ton of foods with labels because that means there's multiple ingredients and additives in that food. Really, you should have short labels. Like if I flip over, I have pasta sometimes and I use a lentil pasta, which is not a grain. I use the lentil pasta. When I flip over my package of pasta, the only ingredient in it is lentils. That's it. Okay, here's your do's and don'ts for label reading. You're gonna read the ingredients rather than the amount of calories, and it's gonna take you time to do this. Like this is a learning curve for you. Going to the grocery store is gonna take more time right now. Planning and prepping is the key to success. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, especially when it comes to redoing your nutrition because you're going to default to like your normal grocery cart and add in a couple things in here and a couple things in there, and you haven't really made the changes that you need to make. You need to make a choice. You need to draw a line in the sand, step over it, and start a new life, and this will be a learning process. You'll make some mistakes along the way, but we're not asking for perfection. I'm not asking for perfection from any of my patients, but I'm asking for progress from you because progress that will yield results. I want you more concerned about reading the ingredient label and what's in the food than how many calories is in there. I don't want you worrying about calories at all. You're never going to buy anything with MSG, artificial sweeteners, hydrogenated anything, refined flour, additives, colorings, preservatives, any chemical names. That's the ground for disease process to develop. Like I said before, you got to prep. Plan your meals ahead of time. Take a list. Always keep the basics stocked. Spend more time planning and shopping than cooking. You can do a really, really good job on number one, saving money by doing this because you typically buy a lot of extra stuff that you don't need and a lot of extra junk that you don't need. That's comfort food, but not like real food that's nutritious for your body. You start removing that processed foods, you're going to save money on your grocery bill. You're going to read the labels of every single food that you buy and then use the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen. All right. We're almost coming to a close. I cannot stress this enough. You have to have a bigger why for why you're doing this. And typically you have to go what's called 7 layers deep when you figure out really why you're doing something, especially in your health. You need to have a good reason. If you don't have a good reason, you're going to find yourself a couple weeks in when the motivation has been lost and the excitement has been lost, reaching for what you used to reach for and bad habits when the why of why you want to be healthy isn't big enough. You got to keep asking yourself, and I would say ask yourself why you want to be healthy or why you want to reverse this disease process. Ask it to yourself 7 times and you'll get to the real core of why you want to be healthy, and that will overpower and give you the willpower that you need to make changes and choices and not give up so easily. Start thinking of food as fuel. It is fuel for your cells and tissues, so it needs to be good fuel. If your car ran on premium and you kept feeding it regular, it would break down. Well, your body needs premium food and you've been giving it regular, so it's breaking down. Take away more unhealthy items, add more healthy and nutrient-dense items that will help you crowd out bad foods that you've been eating. So I know that Some of you on this line will quit everything cold turkey. You'll do everything in one full swoop, and I think that's awesome. You are amazing. Some of you, it will take some time for you to weed out your choices. It took time for me to weed out some of the things that I had been eating that were unhealthy, but you're gonna take your nutritious food, buy more of that, eat more of that to crowd out the bad stuff. Keep a food journal to keep yourself accountable, and spend time planning and shopping so you don't get stuck in the grocery store without a list, and then you just reach for the old pattern of foods that you normally pick up. You don't want to do that. You want to prepare ahead of time. And this will be a big part of what we talk about in the gut rebuilding protocol. Juicing and smoothies is a really good way to help your digestive system. It's hard for us to eat, a lot of servings of vegetables a day. Doing a smoothie helps me do that because it's very difficult to eat vegetables all day long. So throwing a lot of spinach and greens in a smoothie is how I get my servings of vegetables every single day. And I do a lot of green juice throughout the week. What's good about this is that it takes the digestive work off of your digestive system. So if you're struggling with a digestive issue, Crohn's disease, IBS, a bowel disorder, diverticulitis, even some heartburn as well, any kind of digestive system issue, when you take the load off your digestive system of breaking foods down, but you're still getting nutrients right into your cells, that will help your body heal. So doing more green juice and doing more smoothies, which take the breakdown out of it, will support that anti-inflammatory lifestyle and rebuilding of your gut cells. Your gut turns over and gets that lining gets replenished every few days. Think about it. You are more like a fountain than you are a statue. Your body is constantly replenishing and renewing itself. It's not set in stone. Your organs renew themselves and they get new cells and tissues. So you want yourself creating healthy cells. Your digestive system is one of the fastest organs in the body to recreate and regenerate. So you got a digestive system issue, we can move very quickly in this realm. Last big point that I want to hit before we go over what a gut rebuild protocol looks like. The last myth would be that food is medicine and food is healing. It's part of the story. But the reality is that when you eat a piece of broccoli, it doesn't come with its own brain cells that breaks itself down and puts itself and the tiny particles where they need to go. It's your body and the intelligence and the coordination of your digestive system, your heart, your lungs, your breathing, that does the healing. It does the breakdown and the coordination of your nutrients. You can't feed organic broccoli and grass-fed beef to a dead person and expect them to come back to life. Food doesn't heal. It's life in your body that heals. Life is healing. And that healing flows through your nervous system. That healing is regulated by your brain and controlled by your brain. The way that your brain communicates to your organs is through your central nervous system. This is why you're healing better after you get adjusted. Because when you get adjusted and you move the bones of the spine, it removes the roadblocks of your brain healing and connecting to your body and knowing what to do to bring it back to its natural state of health. You were born with a natural state of health. When there's interference in that system working properly, or the systems of your body doing their normal function, that's when you get disease process. It's not food that does the healing. It may be the raw materials that build your cells, but the building of the cells comes from the intelligence inside your body. It comes from the central nervous system. It comes from your brain knowing that you just ate broccoli. Your brain tells your stomach to produce acid to break down protein. Your brain tells your pancreas to release enzymes into your digestive system to help break down the food. And then it's your brain that controls and coordinates where the pieces of the food go to build new cells. Healing is a God-given birthright that you have, and it flows over the nervous system because your brain controls everything in your body. This is why the number one thing that you do to heal the number one thing that you do to function well, the number one thing that you do to fulfill your purpose here on earth and stay connected to yourself is you get chiropractic care. You get adjusted to make sure that these pathways are clear all the time so your body can express its natural state of health. When your spine goes out of alignment, your neck goes out, your back goes out, what happens is that's a roadblock from your body expressing the natural state of health. This is why I adjust you. I don't do any of the healing, but I adjust you so the highways are clear so your body has a chance, its optimal chance to heal. Whether or not it heals is up between you and your creator. But you need that healthy nerve supply first, and then you add the nutrition component into it. But you need the intelligence first to coordinate and control where those nutrients go to begin with. So this is why chiropractic care is the foundation. Chiropractic care is at the core of what I teach in my office because it is the central nervous system or the highway of intelligence that flows through you, that leads you towards your purpose, that releases healing, that is life inside of your body, and you need to keep it clear. So if you think that you can heal from just food alone, you're mistaken. You need that intelligence to break down that food. And wouldn't you want that intelligence displaying at its full capacity so you could get everything out of the nutrients that you buy in the stores organic and your expensive grocery bill? If you've got a bad back, it leads to a bad digestive system. If you've got a bad back, you're not absorbing or breaking down food properly. You're also not replenishing and recreating cells properly, which means you're not healing if you have a bad back. Which is why I'm so crazy about chiropractic care. It's not because of neck pain, back pain, and headaches. It's because the nervous system is protected by the spine. And when you move the spine, allowing the nervous system to flow correctly, that's a healthier body. It's a higher healing body. It's a higher immune system. It's a person that's connected to their purpose. It's a person that's connected to their brain and the intelligence that God placed inside of them better. And that's a better human being. Now, I want to give you a good kickstart to your digestive system. This is just a 5-day plan. But if you want to turn your health around, if you want to start to rebuild your gut, you're going to remove inflammatory foods in your diet, and there's a couple of key supplements that you need. When you have a digestive system issue, and your gut cells are not working properly, they're not turning over properly, you might have leaky gut, you might have allergies, you might, whatever like science or medical doctors want to label you with, it's just dysfunction of the digestive system. There's a couple key nutrients that your digestive system needs to work properly. That is good bacteria, and that is the amino acid glutamine. When you're healing, you have an increased need for nutrition. You have an increased need for sources of what does the healing and what your intelligence uses to rebuild cells. So the raw materials, you need more raw materials in this time. So the gut rebuild protocol is heavily based in nutrition. You have to be under chiropractic care to free up the nerve supply to recreate cells and tissues. And you do need supplemental support, especially if you've already got full-blown IBS, Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, like labeled disease processes that you see in the intestinal system. You need more support in that area. So number one, you need a probiotic. You have more bacteria in your gut than you do cells in your body, so you need a large probiotic. I would suggest about a 50 billion CFU probiotic. I have one in the office, and I'm going to pop in the link for it to make it easy for you. You need to do this for at least 30 days. If you have like IBS, Crohn's disease, you'll be doing it for more than 30 days. Like it takes years to build disease process. It takes years to build disease process. You're going to need months of like recreating good, healthy cells and tissues. It takes some time. So you need a good probiotic, 50 billion. I gave you the link for it. And then you need L-glutamine. You can find it in capsule form. I would prefer that you actually get the powder and throw it in your liquids per day. I'm going to give you a very specific food protocol to follow. This is not only going to help you if you have a digestive system issue. If you just want to lower inflammation and get healthy, you can follow this protocol as well. But it's very specific and unique for digestive system. So you need at least 5 grams a day, which is typically a scoop. If you have a powdered probiotic, you can find it many, many places that are great sources. You can get off Amazon. Ancient Nutrition has a good powdered probiotic, but 5 grams, it's an amino acid, and it really feeds the gut. So we want to help support the gut and the repair of the gut tissues, so you have an increased need for these nutrients. So 5 grams of L-glutamine a day, and then you need at least a 50 billion probiotic. That's your supplement protocol. And then we're doing more liquids. So if you take a look at this, it's a 5-day food plan. Your first meal of the day is a liquid. So you're going to alternate smoothie and you're going to alternate juice. And this is because we really want to give your gut a rest. There are some of you that I will talk to individually that need a fasting protocol, which means that you do a water fast for a few days to reset the gut. Like full-blown Crohn's disease, we should talk about doing a water fast for you. It has tremendously helped my patients. You'd think that when you were like healing from a disease process that you would need like lots of food, but really sometimes when you fast, it's better for your body to give it a break. It will use like nutrient reserves to keep you going, and you'll be fine to fast for a few days. If you have full-blown Crohn's disease, you should begin this with a water fast, and you need to reach out to me on how to do that successfully with your like day-to-day schedule. But if you've got any kind of digestive diverticulitis, inflammation, IBS, any kind of label, or you have a food allergy and you just need to start rebuilding your gut, you're going to do liquids. So I said advanced plan, which means like not super high in sugar. You're not going to put a banana in your smoothie in the morning. You're going to do like Granny Smith apples with spinach, coconut milk. You're going to put coconut oil in there. I'm giving you any kind of ingredients. You're going to put avocado in there. You can put almond milk in there, almonds in there, like a high fat smoothie that's liquid that will be easier for your body and your gut to break down. And then you can throw your glutamine powder in there and have your probiotic with it. And then I'd like you to alternate with a green juice. So you'll do one day of a smoothie in the morning. The next morning, I want you to do like a pure green juice. If you're not interested in going to clean juice and picking up a smoothie every single morning, you can use, and they sell these at Target as well, the brand Suja has great green juices that are advanced plan approved, which is mostly vegetable based. Going to taste great. You need to juice in the morning, and then when you have a gut issue, something that will help and soothe your gut is doing bone broth. If you also don't want to do a water fast, so you're a little bit intimidated to do a water fast, do a bone broth fast. You can get a great bone broth at Whole Foods, but you're going to do a bone broth for lunch. You can add vegetables in there. So I'm not asking you to do like full liquid for lunch, although it's a great idea, but some of you need to start a little bit smaller. So by doing bone broth with broccoli and spinach and some onions in there, you just boil it all together. It'll still taste like a meal and you'll be chewing, so it's more satisfying for you in the middle of the day. But bone broth has incredible properties that help heal your gut because the bone and bone marrow and components that leach into bone broth are tremendously good nutrition for your gut and rebuilding your gut. So your lunch is going to be bone broth with lots of vegetables. And then I just listed a few advanced plan dinners. So you can have like a good healthy chickpea or lentil pasta at night. You could do salmon. You could do any type of like chicken, beef at night with lots of vegetables. You're going to have a normal dinner. You're just using those liquids in the morning and in the middle of the day to help rebuild that gut lining and give your body and your digestive system a little bit of a break in this meantime. If you want a copy of this, you can email me directly I will give you this plan and a little bit more information on how you renew and replenish the gut so you have like a good takeaway. Please email me if you would like the 14-day gut rebuilding kickstart, and I will send that to you. But the truth is, you're gonna have to break through some mental barriers when it comes to this. There's been a lot of years that you've been taught to eat a certain way and a lot of habits that you've developed that we now have to break. This is all mental. Your body has an incredible ability to heal. Life is healing. Your body is constantly healing. You can pass through this. You can reverse this disease process. You can get your health on the right track. I see it time in and time out. But what it takes is you telling yourself that you're going to do it. What it takes is you drawing a line in the sand and saying no more unhealthy habits. Like, we are on a journey for health because I want to be healthy playing with my grandkids. That doing this bone broth thing that Dr. Christine says I'm doing and my smoothies every single day. Hey, that gives me good health and helps me live and helps me walk and helps me stay independent and helps me stay neurologically sound all the days of my life and getting chiropractic care. Like, if this is going to build my health so I'm independent and strong and can fulfill my purpose on this planet, it is worth it. That is your mindset about your health. Your health is fueling everything that you do in your life. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. You have nothing in your life. And I have to talk about it like this because, man, you get sold the lie that you're broken and that as you age, you're going to get disease process and you're going to feel crummy. Like, that is not the truth. Stop falling for the lie. You've been lied to, you've been lied to, you've been lied to. Your body was actually created for health, with health in mind, with this innate and healing power, with an innate intelligence that flows through it. When you start to make choices that align with that intelligence and that healing power, and those are the principles that we talked about tonight, you get the health of your dreams. You reverse disease process. You can reverse any disease process. All it takes is time and dedicated choices, and you can do it. You just have to decide to do it first. With that, if there's any specific questions, you can post a comment or you can shoot me an email if you have any personal questions. If you are outside of the Charlotte area, thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit. Please like and share this video. If you need a doctor and you need like a holistic health practitioner that's going to lead you towards health and discover root causes of your symptoms and get you back on the road to health, or help you create a healthy lifestyle that you can pass on to your children, go to maxlivingfindadoc.com. The reason why I'm a part of Max Living is because we collectively want to do something tremendous for this planet and this country. That as a unit, and we're going to do collective greater good than me being on an island out here in Charlotte alone in my practice. I'm a part of Max Living, so we change healthcare. I'm a part of Max Living, so 50 years from now, when my kids are all grown up and they're adults, that they know a different way of living. I'm a Max Living doctor so that we can get people so healthy that they don't need emergency care unless it is a true emergency and accident. I see like hospitals being empty if people start to live a healthy life. I see people being more connected to each other when they start to live a healthy life. This type of pandemic stuff that's going on right now, people are following 5 essentials. You wouldn't see this happen. We live in a broken, unhealthy society. That only changes if we start to tell people about, what health truly is and where it truly comes from. Because the principle of chiropractic is that health comes from the inside out, not the outside in. Health isn't found. Your health isn't found in a supplement. Your health isn't found in the bottom of a pill bottle or medication. It's found inside of you, and you were already created with it. You were created with health in mind. Your body is constantly edging and pushing you towards health. We are just going to support those natural processes so they work properly all the days of your life. You have limitless potential. You have limitless healing. It only requires different action steps. Please reach out to me. You can email me. You can email me to ask to find a doctor for you if you'd like in your area and find a great chiropractor. You can email me with questions. I am here for you during this time. I know it's different because I'm, talking to you over a computer screen, but I am here for you in any capacity that you need to help you make better decisions and help you start to take control of your health and to inspire hope and healing in your life. You are loved, you're worth better health, and you have limitless potential. Please email me if you have any questions, and have a great night.